Yes, good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is the Take for Market Rebellion on this Thursday. We've had a pretty interesting week. We started off strong. We also got into a little bit of a mode where we're seeing still a lot of option paper, but a little bit more calm in the markets. Let me give you a little bit of an example. So yesterday, look at the Dow. The Dow's complete range, high to low, was less than 200 points yesterday. It finished up just a minor amount, I think about 16 points yesterday. So that really, just shows you a little bit about how things have changed. And that's why we're seeing volatility down here now that's underneath 17. NASDAQ was the same thing yesterday. A little bit more movement, especially when you look at percentage-wise, about 80 points. But we're talking about two different indexes where we've been seeing these crazy moves up and down and intraday moves that are absolutely awesome. But we are not seeing that now. It has really, really calmed down, including what we're looking at today. I will say we're continuing to have the volumes, though. We still pushed up and towards that 33 million contracts yesterday. So that's still a part of what's going on. Yesterday, the only really meaningful part of the markets in terms of a lot of the sector movements really came from the material space. Materials have been all over the map, very much like energy, where they've had some great moves to the upside, and then they've had some dramatic pullbacks to the downside as well. Yesterday, had a little bit of a pullback yesterday, materials down about 2% or so. But these moves have been up and down, like I say, in those specific areas, and continue to look at a lot of different activities still coming. As a matter of fact, one of my unusuals today will be in the energy space. But the other thing that I think that really stood out about yesterday for me was when I looked through it, we didn't just have the normal markets we've had where it's been, and you've heard me talk about this, extremely short term. April 9th expiring or April expiring. We actually had quite a few different options yesterday under the unusual options activity that we've got on the elite site here, where we saw May. We even saw some June options getting traded. So it wasn't just April. So that was a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a change. The other thing was it was mega cap tech day, certainly dominating as far as what I was looking at and where things really seem to be trading. I look at Amazon and Facebook and Apple and Google and Microsoft, and really pretty nice performance yesterday. Now, getting into today, we are still seeing some of that going on, some of that performance. I mentioned volatility. It's still maintaining just underneath 17. We started off the day in the NASDAQ, started to sprint and run to the upside very nicely. Pre-markets up about 110 points. Then as we got into the day, up about 115 points, holding on to that first 30 minutes or so. We're giving back a little bit of that. I think we're still up maybe about 80 points at this time, about 1 hour into the trading session. The Dow, on the other hand, has been just sort of steadily slipping throughout the day, along with the S&P that started off and going to new intraday highs at least. That was pretty impressive, up about 12 or more points early on. That's been slipping back a little bit too, getting pulled by some of those Dow stocks, absolutely. So where are we seeing strength right out of the gate? Well, technology, absolutely up about 1%. Consumer discretionary, that was helping out early on. Some weakness, as I mentioned, yesterday was materials. Well, today it's back to energy and some of those financials as well under a little bit of pressure. Semiconductors early on. Now, things change really rapidly in 1 hour of a trading, believe it or not. But early on, we did have semiconductors actually trading pretty nicely. Matter of fact, early, Intel was leading the Dow. That's given up some of that now, and now it's still more of a technology leadership for the Dow. Names like Salesforce, names like Microsoft and Apple, and some of those names. Certainly the positive side of the Dow, which is in negative territory today. But those are some of the names that are going against the grain, so to speak. High flyers were hitting early on for sure. That was something definitely moving the NASDAQ, as we were talking about NASDAQ, up about 115 early on. Okta, Peloton, and DocuSign, and CrowdStrike, and a lot of these various names, these kind of wild and high multiple names, high growth names, certainly having a pretty good start to the day. So I'm going to hit some unusual. We're going to get out here, give you a start to your day. But I'll tell you what, there's always been a great expression out there, go big or go home. I picked the two biggest options by volume that we are seeing in the early going, the first hour of trade. And both of them hitting fairly early. First one is, I mentioned an energy stock. How about Petrobras, PBR? Now, this one trading about $8.35. We had a buyer of 37,000. Now, granted, these are very small in terms of what the cost is going to be, but still size-wise, volume-wise, 37,500 of the April 23rd expiring. These are the 9-strike calls. So stocks trading 835. They're looking for some upside, buying a little bit of time, a little bit more at least than this Friday's expiration cycle. And those were only going for about 8 cents or so. So very inexpensive option, but certainly the volume itself just did stand out for me. That was pretty interesting. I mentioned not April 9th. This one is April 9th. Microsoft, once again, we have had Microsoft hitting, and they've been right each and every time. Stock hit a new high today early on. It's pulled back off of that. It was up over 254. When these hit, it was trading right around 253.80. And we had a buyer of 11,000 of Fridays expiring. Yeah, today's Thursday. These have today and tomorrow, and that is it. The 255 strike. So essentially going right at the money and looking for any kind of a move, maybe a little bit of a breakout, even more so to the upside. Those options started at about 50 cents. They finished buying them at about $1. So obviously stock started moving to the upside. Started early on with 50 cents, moving up to $1. These do expire, as I say, Friday. So just have that awareness. We talk about the Greeks all the time. And the Greeks, we talk about theta. Theta is time decay. That is one of the factors that prices in. So you aren't seeing a whole lot of time on these. You only got 2 days really, but that theta works against you very, very rapidly as well. So just keep that in mind. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, go to Market Rebellion. We got the educators on staff that are absolutely awesome. That'll tell you everything about the markets and everything about what's going on in terms of understanding the options in a much better way, the derivatives markets themselves, and in a safe way as well. Folks, have a great day of trading. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow on The Take. And I'll also be on CNBC's halftime report tomorrow as well. Have a great day of trading.